All right, legends, I still get a lot of people asking me about how to loop. I'm going to make this a nice, short, sharp, simplest way that you can loop with your sides from round one all the way through to the end of the season. So we're going to have a couple of options here. I know some people like it in the written form, which we have that in the Discord group, guys, in Phil's How to Loop. Other content creators have shown that as well, but some people still message me saying they look for something on YouTube to actually see how it works in person. Obviously, you know, moving a team around rather than just through photos and through chat. So we're going to go through that here. And I've got a general team similar to what my team's been like. I've just added a couple of guys here in my emergencies that I can move around and plug and play to be able to help with the looping scenario. So guys, looping, how it works. You obviously need one extra player at least from your starting side. So you've got your starting 13 here. In my example here, I have Seb Chris. And this one was pointed out by Mark from Fantasy Amateurs. He is tempted and thinking about doing this himself. Let's just say he has Penasini, Ben Travojevic, and he has Seb Chris in his side. Let's just say at this point in time, he was saying if Travojevic was going to do well, and if he did do well, then he would be able to trade Chris into his side, considering he wants him from round 2. He has a suspension, guys, for 1 round, and he would be able to plug Seb Chris in his starting team to be able to take Ben Travojevic score. So what you see, guys, here, if Seb Chris doesn't play, you get an auto emergency from your interchange or your emergencies there. So it goes down the list. So if the first center you have on your list, we don't have any, Ben Travojevic, bang. All right, so Seb Chris, we don't get his score because he doesn't play. So he gets a DNP, which means you get Ben Travojevic's score. And what he's doing it for then is to have Seb Chris in his starting center, who he could also switch down into the wing fullback position from round 2 onwards. So that's an awesome loop that you can do if you do want Seb Chris in your side. And the thing is from there, if Ben Travojevic didn't score well in round 1, right, he wouldn't bring in Seb Chris. He'd either just he'd obviously have to have another center. So he might bring in someone else. It could be a higher price center that actually is getting a good score from round 1, likely, and then trading them in and putting them in the starting side, right? So then you don't get Ben Travojevic's score. Because the only way you get Ben Travojevic to score down here in 7 is if someone in your starting side doesn't play, and that would be Seb Chris, right? So if he didn't score well, you could either cop it and just have Seb Chris in there. You got an 18. You're like, it's not great, but I'll cop it because I want Seb Chris anyway. Trade him in, take the 18. Awesome, all right? You obviously have to have someone in the center position. You can't have a nobody, obviously. Like you can't put a mid in there. Just simple as that for that one there, which is cool. All right, let's just say that was one of our examples. Let's move it back now to that. Our next guy is Alamalo, right? So he's a wing fullback for the Tigers, unlikely to make the starting side at this point, but they have a bye in round 1. So we can do a lot with him just in itself. Okay, so we just have the example now that Seb Chris was playing round 1. We only have one guy in our whole 21 that is not playing in round 1. So we can do lots with this position. Okay, we have our wing fullback position. So we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4 with Alamalo, and then Keanu Keeney as well. Again, pretending Seb Chris is someone else at this point, and not playing wing fullback. Anyway, so we have 5 potential wing fullbacks, 4 that are playing in this round, and 1 that is not playing. Okay, options are you could pop Alamalo in the starting side. Okay, let's just say it's for Pappenhausen at this point. From there, we really like Pappenhausen and we think he's going to score pretty well. So let's move him up to emergency 5 at this point. And let's move Keeney down because we think Pappenhausen is going to score better than Keeney in the first game. Awesome. Simple as that. There is obviously risk, guys. So the reason why you do use loops, if you have someone on a bye, very clearly, is if you think they're going to do well, right? But they have the opportunity or the chance or the worry that he could get a broken leg, a broken knee, a broken ankle. It's too many things. Or a concussion, right? You can get sin binned, you can get sent off. There's so many different things that can happen, even for a guy that you think is super safe. Obviously, guys like Payne Haas are a little bit safer given they're very, very durable, taller, less chance of concussions and the like. But someone in the wing fullback position, they're every chance that they could get injured or something like that. So Pap, you put him in 5. Again, do we have any wing fullbacks above him in the top 4? Half, hooker, mid, edge. Beautiful, none. So what would happen there? If Pappenhausen scores well, you leave this exactly as it is, right? You take Alamalo's score. Simple as that, okay? In this scenario, you could do it as if you thought Pappenhausen was safer than Chevy Stewart or KO Weeks, you could switch one of them, right, into that position and do it that way. So you're pretty happy with Pappenhausen. You go, look, if he scores poorly, most people have him, and we're sweet. Chevy Stewart, you're like, well, if I could get away with it, just say he scored 8 and everyone's playing him, and I could not get his loop score, then that's great. So Alamalo in this position there, guys. The next option there, if Chevy Stewart was to score an 8, right, what you would then do is move Alamalo out. So you get the double bite of the cherry, right? So if Stewart plays well, you leave it as is, right? You get Stewart's score. If he doesn't play well, you change him out for Keanu Kinney. All right, then you get Kenny's score no matter what he gets, right? Because now you only have 3 playing players. You don't want to take Stewart's score. You've got the 3 guys available. Okay, that's the first option with that loop in the wing fullback position. You can now loop Alamalo with any other player in this position. So the easiest one, guys, is to then move things. Actually, I should explain that a little bit different. How you would do this, guys, in this scenario is you would put Chevy Stewart in the 6th position or the 7th. So let's stick it with the 6 right now. This will make a little bit more sense in a second. So what you would do there, guys, is if we had Alamalo in that position, I'll just fix that up for you. Alamalo in that position there, and Stewart plays well. Awesome. We leave him there. Keanu Kinney then would move to our last position, okay, to make sure that we're not getting his score because Stewart is now above him. If Kenny was above, then you'd get Kenny's score. Awesome. That's the option there. Right. Back to where we were. If Stewart doesn't play well, right, we don't want to take his score. So 2 options. We can leave Alamalo there and we can put Kenny above Stewart. So now we will get Kenny's score no matter what, right? The other option there, and the simplest option, because you can now use Alamalo as a further loop, is to put Kenny into that starting side. You now get Kenny's score no matter what. From this position now, if you weren't sure on how Hutchison was going to go, or Sua Wong, right, you would then put Hutchison in the 5 jersey. And the biggest thing with all this, guys, is when you're not sure on a certain position, you want their team to be playing earlier on in the week. So somewhere in the first sort of 3 games would be ideal, hopefully the first 1 or 2 games, so that their score, Stewart's score, is out of the way early, and then you have a lot more players that you can still move around in your team, which is going to be super helpful. All right, so let's just say Hutchison is the next to play, so he plays after Stewart during the week, which is cool. You're not sure how he's going to play, so you put him in the 5 jersey now, right? If he scores really well, you leave Alamalo there in that 4 position, which that means your 4th emergency does not get a game. He has the bye, obviously, and doesn't play. You get your 1st emergency, which is emergency 5. Awesome. That's exactly what you want. If Hutchison scores poorly, okay, it obviously doesn't work as well right now because we have Sam Hughes, but let's say, as we said, Seb Chris was just a middle forward, a Terrell May, right? We'd go Seb Chris, who is playing, again, it's not Seb Chris, into the 4 position, and now you get Seb Chris's score, okay? He's playing, as I said, in round 1. And you miss out on Hutchison's score. You miss out on Chevy Stewart's score. Let's say Hutchison gets 20, Stewart gets 8. You miss out on those 2 low scores, and you have other people. We haven't even got Sam Hughes as a playing player in this team at the moment, but there's a good chance he's a 35 to 40, right? Same with Seb Chris. But you'd work that out according to based on when teams are playing in the week. Earlier in the week is when you put them in the looping positions. Later in the week, you use them as the guy that covers. So the guy that you can move around into the 4 slot, into the starting team, so that you can get their score. I'm absolutely going to leave it at that, guys. That's enough information for you all, but I hope that is as simple as possible for you guys. Obviously, that small mistake that I made there, again, just in play here, is putting your winger, your center, your half, whoever that guy is that we were speaking about at the start, the Chevy Stewart, that you're hoping to loop because you have extra in that position. You could have extra in the edge position or the mid position. And if the guy that you have on a bye is in the mid position, for example, then I could loop guys like Totola, Haas, Curran, Cotter, Sam Hughes, and the like there. And that would be a really easy one to do, and you could play it exactly how we did there. But make sure that that guy is in 6 or 7. Depending on how many from that position you have, 6 is the easiest one to do, and from there you can move things around and make that super simple. You could do the double loop because you have him in 6, and then you could loop 2 players as we just did, because if Stewart and Hutchison both didn't score well, then you got both options. Okay, and this is only if you have the one guy on the bye in Alamalo, for example, in this scenario, that you could loop the wing fullback position first, see how that goes. If that goes well, you just cop that, you take that, awesome, you're happy with that. But if he doesn't do well, and a lot of people own him, then you miss out on his score, which is great. And then you could loop the second one with that Hutchison or whoever that's going to be in emergency 5, and you can go from there. So that's all I've got to say in this video, guys. If you haven't checked out the private group yet, I'd absolutely appreciate if you do that. You get all this help for $49 with all the competitions, the one-to-one stuff, as I said, the awesome community. Well, $49 for the season as well, which is cool. Heaps of big prizes, and yeah, I could literally show you this in 2 seconds. If you do ask me directly, week to week, I can help you with all this stuff as well. So that'd be awesome. Wish you all the luck heading into round 1. I've sort of made this on Friday, a bit over 2 weeks out from first game, but I really hope this helps heading into the season, and obviously come back to it throughout the year. It's all going to be exactly the same. There's probably one more really highbrow way of looping, but yeah, just come and ask me in the private group if you have any questions around, or what can I do in this scenario and the like. But yeah, that's where we're at, guys. I'm going to be reserving all of my one-to-one help to the guys in the private group, given it's getting fairly large, which is great. And yeah, if you want any of that, jump in. If you want sort of general advice and stuff, all of that's going to be in the videos, which is awesome. But thanks for being here, guys. Catch you in the next one.